Today we are going to be looking at this museum or kit project in our CNC class. The purpose of this project is for students to have, at the end of it, a kit that you could give to an unskilled person and they can put it together. Think of a younger sibling or a cousin. You want them to be able to put this together based off of what you've done. And so let's look quickly at the description of the project and some of the background information so that we can start with a good design. First of all, this is just an example that I'm giving you. You don't have to do this. I'm doing some sort of a desk organizer, kind of similar to what we did when we were distance learning with COVID. This one's going to be a little bit simpler, but the flavor is the same. You don't have to do this. You could do something like a small toolbox or tackle box, jewelry box. All of those things are fine. You'll see on the front table, so there should be an example of an iPad stand, that COVID Woods project, and then also up near the tool changer on the large CNC router, there's a box there that was built in the same way. Now that box took up a little bit more lumber than what you're going to have available to you on this, but it should be in that same flavor. So some of the requirements, you're going to build this, everybody's going to get a 23.5 inch by 23.5 inch piece of 1/2 inch thick MDF wood. And look at this project through the lens of building it on the large CNC router. So you'll be able to change tools without having to stop the machine. So this project needs to have 5 pieces, so it can't be just a simple little box that goes together. The 5 pieces need to interact, assemble together. Some of them can be permanent, some can be a lid with a hinge. I've got some leftover hinges from Woods too that we can use if you want to do the top of like a tackle box or jewelry box or something like that. Project should be able to be built by an unskilled person with only a hammer and wood glue, and it needs to be sturdy. We don't want something that's going to break really easily. A tutorial video of assembling this needs to be included with the final project, and you're going to want to use tabs. So imagine you holding on to a square piece of wood that's 23.5 by 23.5, and inside of it should be all of the pieces from your project that you would need, like a utility knife or an oscillating cutter to get out. And I'm going to probably tomorrow afternoon upload some examples. I'm going to come sit in the parking lot at school and get some things off of the network drive. I am making this video when I've got COVID, so I can't be in school this week. Otherwise, I'd have these up for you already. But hopefully, when you're watching this, I'm through COVID and we're back to normal. So let's go to SketchUp. I like drawing this in SketchUp because I get to see that all the parts fit together. And then we'll just bring it into VCarve when we're done with it. So when you start SketchUp, start with this simple template, inches, and then you're going to want to get this large tool set on the left. Sometimes it will default to that, other times it won't. So if you don't have these tools on the left, go to View, Toolbars, and click on the large tool set. So I am going to start with a project. The rectangle is going to be 5 inches by 18 inches. So 5, 18. So that's going to be the rough part of my sides, and I want it to be curved on the top. So to do a curve on the top, I'm going to take a guideline. I want that curve, maybe I want the curve to start on the outside, but I want the curve to go up 3 inches. So I'm going to use this tool right here, 2-point arc, grab both ends, and then move it up to the middle. And that's going to be the arc that I have on my project. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this guideline. It starts getting muddy with lots of guidelines. Now, I need to give this project thickness. So for now, we're going to treat these as 2 separate parts. But I'm going to pull it up to 0.5, and that I pull up to 0.5. So now it's 0.5 thick. Now I'm going to have 2 compartments in here, and you can have 5 compartments. That doesn't matter to me. Just know that you're going to run out of wood if you have too many pieces to this. And I want each of my pieces to have a dado that they slide into, at least part of the way. So I found the middle, and I'm going to go out 0.25 inches from each side of the middle, and that'll give me the 1/2 inch thickness for my material. Then I'm going to lay a rectangle right on top of it, and then I'm going to delete these 3 guidelines. I'll push this sucker down 0.25, and I'm going to do the same thing on the sides and bottom. I want to have a bottom that's 0.5, Excuse me. And I'm going to put a bottom rabbit, and I'll probably have to, oops a daisy. Notice how that clicked here and then to the bottom. I'm going to Control Z that, get a little better view of it. Notice if your rectangle's being funny, and you hit, whoops a daisy, I think it's Control, it will go back to drawing it regular. All right, there we go. Then I'm going to push this down. 0.25, 0.25, and then this little guy right here, I can push it up. I can do whatever I want with it, but I got to delete this line right here. And then that will go away, and then I'll get rid of those two lines as well. Now I'm going to do the same thing, and actually, you know what? I kind of got ahead of myself here a little bit, but I think we'll be okay. I'm going to put the sides in. I don't want to see the bottom from the side. I think we'll be okay. 0.5, 0.5. Pop that down. Pop that down. I think we're looking good here. You know what? I want to change the top. I don't want it to start at the ends. So I'm just going to erase. I just pushed it down. I'm going to erase that line there. Just going to verify. Looks like I got extra line there and there. I am going to do the top in. I want to make sure I click. I'm going to go in 1 inch. And then from there, I'll go back up my 3 inches. And what this is going to allow is this end to look a little bit cleaner. So I'll grab my 2-point arc tool again, start there, and there, go up 3, I think that's going to look a little bit nicer. And then I'll get rid of these guidelines. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. Again, this is totally just an example. If you've got something else that you'd like to build, do that. Don't do this. This is totally fine for you to do something different. All right. So got that. I think my ends look good. I want to put some holes in here right in the center. So if we're going to have to nail this thing together, we're going to need to put some nails, some hand nails in. And if we're in the shop, of course, we can use the nail guns. But remember, we're putting this together with the thought that an unskilled person is going to be able to do it. So let's go down here. We'll go to 1.5 inches. And I'll start with those holes, then I'll get some of the bottom. So we're going to put an 1/8 inch hole. Notice this goes to radius. So I do a diameter 0.0625. Oh, forgot the 0. Wow, 0.0625. Not 625. That looks much better. 0.0625. Then I'm also going to put a couple in at the bottom. I'll go in with 2 inches for those. Oh, I got the guideline on the wrong surface. Just going to Control Z and get rid of that. Come back here. 0.0625. Okay, now I just need to push these in. So I'm going to grab a push-pull tool, push them down, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. Not that part. Got the wrong part. If it comes out, you can just do a negative 0.25. negative 0.25 instead. Oh boy. Oh, so you can see that guideline is floating in the air. That's why that thing's in the wrong place. I'm going to get rid of that one and draw that sucker again. There we go. A couple more of these little tiny holes. It's hard to get those right sometimes. Good news is we only have to do it on one side, and then we just copy it on the other side. And then just rotate around to the back and make sure that those holes are going through. So we're all good. All right, I'm going to come up here and say edit, delete guides. And I'm just going to put a hole in here. You could do something way different if you want to. You could put the YZW in there. I suggest if you're doing text that you do that in VCarve. But I want to get a hole kind of in the middle. I'm going to flip around, try to flip around to the other side. So this thing's 18 inches long, so I'm going to go 9, enter, 1.5, so I'm in the center, and I'll just put a hole like that. Push it through, 0.5. Oops, a daisy. There we go. Now I got a hole. I'm trying to get you guys dizzy and make this look as complicated as possible. Okay, I'm going to get rid of those guides again, delete guides. Now, we want to put our other stuff in there. So we want to put our partitions or sides in, and then our bottom. I want to put these two sides in, and I want them to take up the whole space top to bottom. I don't want to see my edge from the side. But before I do that, if I just draw the rectangle on there, it's going to fuse it together. So I want to make this a component, and I'm going to call my front / back. Replace selection with component. If that's not checked, make sure you do that. Oh, and I'll just call it component 1. I did another version of this and I didn't resave it, so there is one that I've deleted already there, named front and back, but I'd call it front and back. All right, so now I can add things to this and it's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to have this go all the way down, and with Sketchup, if you hover for a second, pull down there, and we can pull it out, and let's make this 3 inches. Now I want to, before I do anything else, make it a component. And then I'm going to bring this guy, hit move tool, control, I get the plus. I can put another one right over there. And then I can do the same thing on the bottom. Kind of zoom in so I'm making sure I'm getting the right spot. Pull this out, 3 inches. You need to make this sucker a component. And then the last one is this middle one. Zoom right in there so you can see you're in the same spot. Pull this out. Should be 3 inches. Last thing I would like to do is get rid of this line right here. Oops, a daisy, I erased the component. This is interesting. When I hit delete, it should have erased the whole thing, but do you notice it didn't erase the back side of that? I'm going to hit Control Z. So what that means is that I missed that part. So I'm going to hold down Shift and select those parts as well. And I'm going to make that a component. So that is all one component now. I'm glad I did that and caught that wasn't a part of it. And it looks like there's still some parts here. Let's see what happens when I hit delete. Interesting. I'm going to highlight it all, hit Control Z, and then hold down Shift and make that a component and see if I got it all there now. Oh, I think I got it. Yep, we're good. Control Z, undo. Okay. Now, I just want to take this part and bring it forward. Sometimes this can be a little tricky. Make myself dizzy doing this. think I got enough of it there. Hit the move tool, control for the plus, and I bring it out here. Now that is flipped the wrong way, so I right click and I say flip along. I'm just going to try components blue, and I won. And then I can bring it in there the rest of the way. So if I'm looking at this, I have all of my parts. They are all components, and I can bring this guy into VCarve. Now, what I did want to erase, we'll see if it lets me do it, but I can do it in VCarve as well, is this line right here. So I'm going to say edit component. I don't know what's going to happen when I hit erase. Yeah, I just erased that whole thing. So we'll just not cut this line out in VCarve when we bring it in. So I'm going to go File, Save As. Save this thing, and I'm going to call this Updated. You call whatever you want, but make sure you save it as an older version. 2018 is always good. I save it in my downloads. You should save it in your network drive. Now we're ready to bring that into VCarve.